Hey everyone, I'm Summer from the Dark, and today I have a tutorial video for you. We're going to be using my tool Hypercrown in order to convert Kingdom Hearts 1 models into a more common model format, the Collada DAE format. We're going to be recreating the Anti-Sora model that I showed in my showcase video for Hypercrown that was able to play Sora's animations. So without any further ado, why don't we get started? You can see on the right that I have a directory open, and here I have the executable of my tool as well as the DLL for importing DAE files. I also have a folder of models. If we open this up, I have Sora's model here, and this one over here is Anti-Sora's. This is Sora's moveset. We're going to use that for verification to make sure everything's working later. And if we switch over to the left, you'll see that we have a command line over here. The tool has a command line interface, and it doesn't have a graphical user interface yet. So if we go ahead and you run the help command with --help, you can see we get a bunch of information. We get the usage here for how to construct a command. We also get the different modes that we can run the tool in, help mode and mesh mode. Help mode displays this message. Mesh mode will be used to convert between the two different formats. We also have these optional arguments here. We're going to be ignoring these for now. We'll come back to them later. The input is the file you want to convert, and the output is the location you want to save the converted file to. We also have the supported file types over here, Collada DAE and MDLS is what we're going to be working with today. You can also see up here we have the shorthand versions of the modes and optional arguments that you can use. Alright, so now we're going to run the tool in mesh mode so that we can convert Sora's file into a DAE file. So to do that, we're going to use the -m option. And for the input, we're going to specify Sora's model. That's xa_ex. Hold on, there we go. xa_ex0010.mdls, and we're just going to save it back to the same directory. We're going to rename it to .dae though. And it runs real quick, and you can see to the right we now have a DAE file. So now I'm going to repeat this command, but for Anti-Sora. So the xa_pp_3030.mdls, and again we're just going to change the extension to .dae. We run the tool real quick, and we get a DAE file. Alright, so now we're going to switch over to Maya. Alright, here we go. And the first thing we're going to do is import a file. So, sorry, my capture software isn't really going to pick up the menu navigation here, but basically you go to File Import, and it'll bring up a menu, and make sure that you're importing DAE_FBX, and so I'm selecting Anti-Sora's model right now, and it starts importing. When the import is finished, we're going to get some warnings, and those are completely normal. There are two different types of warnings that you get, but it's completely safe to ignore them. Alright, so I've finished loading up the model, and you can obviously see already that there's no texture applied. And that's simply because my tool doesn't actually extract the textures. It extracts all the information, the UVs are there, the materials are there, but the textures themselves are not extracted as images that then Maya can use to render it. So no textures applied in the editor. This isn't an actual problem though. When we convert back to MDLS with the tool, we'll be using one of the optional arguments, and that's going to allow us to copy texture data from a template file. And so the final result in-game will be textured. It's just that you can't see it here in Maya. Alright, so now we're going to actually edit Anti-Sora's model, and first we're going to select all the joints that he has and delete them. And that's because we're going to add Sora's joints. So I'm going to go back into the import menu, and now I'm going to import Sora's model. So Maya's just going to go through and import that now. And so this is as good a time as any to talk about the limitations of the tool. When converting back from DAE to MDLS, you need to have two existing MDLSs already ready to go to serve as templates. The first one needs to have matching vertex data to the DAE file, and the second one needs to have matching joints. Alright, we just got Sora imported, and we're going to go and select the mesh. Oh, that's Anti-Sora. There we go, we got Sora now. You can tell because now the Keyblade isn't selected, so we're just going to go ahead and delete that mesh there. And now I'm going to select the joints, and I'm going to hold down Shift to select the mesh at the same time. And now we're going to go over here where it says modeling and switch that to rigging, and then we're going to go into the skinning menu and we're going to select the bind skin option, and we're going to click the little box. That brings up a menu, and again, sorry, you're not going to be able to see this in the screen, but there's a few options. The main option we care about is the number of influences. We want to set that to 1 because in-game, Kingdom Hearts 1 really only allows you to use 1 influence per vertex. Alright, and so you can see after we hit the bind skin, the joints kind of change color. That means they bound successfully. Now there's bound to be errors here, but when you use those templates I tell you about, I don't actually use the skinning information here. I use the skin information from the template, so really we're only binding the skin here to associate them for the export. So now we're going to go over to the file, export all. You want to make sure you're selecting export as DAE_FBX, and on the right there's some options. You want to make sure that the Z-axis is selected as the up axis, not Y, which is default. And once you do that, you can hit export and it'll start exporting it. And for me, it just finished exporting, and we get a warning here telling us that there's a null type and that it's not supported. That's again completely normal with the way that I constructed my DAE files, and it has been propagated into this DAE file that's being exported by Maya. And if we actually switch over to the directory view here, you can see that we have now Anti-Sora.dae on the right. That is our edited Anti-Sora with Sora's joints. So all we need to do now is convert that back into an MDLS using Hypercrown. So we're just going to do mesh mode again, so hypercrown.exe-m, and we're going to use the -r option here to specify the root depth. That's the depth of the root joint. For any of my DAE files exported from Hypercrown, you're going to use -r1. By default it assumes 0, so we have to specify it here. And if you're using another DAE file that's not from my tool, you'll need to tweak this number until you get the appropriate root node, and it'll tell us what the root node it found was later on. I'll show you there and how to tell if you have it correct or not. The next option we're going to be using is the -v option. That's to specify the vertex template. So here we have Anti-Sora's vertex data, like his mesh. So we're going to specify Anti-Sora's MDLS, which is x_pp_3030.mdls. Next, we're going to use the -j option. This is the joint template. So again, we're going to specify an existing MDLS, this time with the same joints as the DAE. So we're going to use Sora as xa_ex_0000. Hold on, something's wrong. There we go. MDLS models /xa_ex_0010.mdls. Then we're going to specify the input, which is our Anti-Sora.dae, and then we're going to specify the output, which I'm just going to call it Anti-Sora.mdls. Alright, so we run it real quick, and you can see right here it specifies that the root joint is joint 0. That's the name my tool gives the root joint, so if you're using my tool and you used -1, you should always see joint 0. And if you're using a different model that is not from my tool, well then you should look here and it'll tell you what the name of the root joint it found was, and you should make sure that matches whatever the root joint was called in your original .dae file. And if you look to the right, you can now see that we in fact have an Anti-Sora.mdls now. So now what we're going to do is verify that Anti-Sora.mdls is in fact working. If you recall, we also have xa_ex_0010.mset, that's the moveset for Sora. So what we're going to do is use another model viewer, this one right here called model viewer WX. We're going to import Sora's MDLS, and what it does is it actually looks for an mset file with the same name, and it opens that so that we can play those animations on the model. So yeah, you can see now that Sora is actually playing through the animations. We can switch through them real quick. But what I'm actually going to do is switch back over to the directory real quick, and I'm going to go over to the mset, and I'm going to rename the mset to Anti-Sora.mset, so that when we open Anti-Sora.mdls, it'll open this mset and try to play the animations on that model as well. So back to the viewer now. Alright, we're going to go ahead and open Anti-Sora.mdls. Alright, there we go. And as you can see, when we start playing the animations, it plays them normally. So when we import this model into the game, it'll be able to use Sora's mset in order to play the animations. So anyways guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment down below. I'm looking forward to you guys being able to get your hands on this tool. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't want you guys to miss out on any updates I make about Hypercrown in the future. And in the description, I'm going to leave some links to the Discord servers that I frequent. And if you guys have any questions or difficulties where you got stuck in the tutorial, go ahead and leave a message on there, and I'll get back to you guys and I'll do my best to help you out.